No, so, I mean, it's the same thing. He's just, it's just not quite all the way back yet, but he feels better, and we're hopeful maybe by Tuesday.
Anybody else, or this is going to be the quickest one ever? Dan Savage, OrlandoMagic.com.
Cliff, when you look at this Boston team, what are some of the challenges for your group, and what are the things that they present?
Well, I think two things that stand out from the beginning that we really emphasized this morning is, one, they score a lot off of their defense. They're top 6 or 7 in both deflections and steals. And they convert at a high rate at the other end of the floor. So first of all, we've got to get shots. And then the other piece of it is the finishing possession with defensive rebounding. I think they're third in offensive rebounding ratio, and or percentage, I guess is a better way to say it. And so we've got to make sure that our defense is good. We're shutting down the paint. We're defending their primary scores without fouling, but we're going to have to finish possessions also.
Chris Herring, Sports Illustrated.
Hi, Steve. I wanted to ask you a question about rebounding. I guess it's somewhat general, and maybe a little bit facetious, but I guess I wanted to ask, rebounding has changed seemingly so much in the last couple decades, just when you consider how big an influence the three-point shooting has been on the league, and how a lot of teams don't crash the offensive glass. And so I guess my question for you is, how has rebounding changed? It still matters, obviously. You can't be horrible at it and still expect to win a game. But in terms of players in certain roles, obviously Andre Drummond has kind of been on the market for a little bit now, and he's arguably one of the best 2-3 rebounders in the game and has been for a while. How has it changed the game, and in what ways has it shifted, in your opinion, in the last decade, 2 decades?
Yeah, well, I would say the first thing is, like you said, teams do send more people to the offense, or a lot of teams, not all teams, but a lot of teams do send more or give players more freedom to go to the offensive glass than they used to. 10, 12 years ago, really there were, a few guys at offensive rebounds, but most of the time when the ball went up, everybody pretty much got back except for the centers. And now you see more perimeter players that have the freedom to offensive rebound. I think that last year, unless I'm wrong, I think there were actually 5 teams in the league that were both top 7 in both second chance points and in transition defense, which shows that you can be aggressive trying to rebound the ball and still get your defense set. So I think those are things. And I think that, what has brought this on is the three-point shot. Since, teams are shooting so many more threes, there's a lot more long rebounds. So there's a larger area defensively that you have to get to finish possessions. And I think a lot of teams are trying to take more advantage of that.
Gary Washburn, Boston Globe.
Hey, Coach, how has the 2 additional playoff spots in each conference changed the approach of teams? The East is just a bunch of teams from 1 to almost 15 still has a chance to get that 10th spot. And how has that changed the approach of teams like you, who have been a little up and down, waiting for good health to kind of get it going? How has that changed your approach when there's some more opportunity?
Yeah, I think that it really, what's playing out is what the league was hoping would play out when they decided to go to this. I think similar to baseball, really. I mean, if you go back, I'm a big baseball fan, and if you go back to before the wild card, a lot of times the last 3-4 weeks of the season in baseball, there'd be maybe one pennant race or none. And I think that if you look at it, the same thing is going to be true. I think actually on both sides. I was looking at it yesterday. I mean, the West is similar, where there's 3 or 4 teams, I think, within 3.5 or 4 games, and it will keep more teams alive, which means that, for the league, there'll be more meaningful games played in the last couple of weeks of the season.
Aaron Goldstone, Orlando Pinstripe Post.
Coach, to beat an elite team like Brooklyn like you did Friday, you have to have your stars play well, which they did, but you also have to get contributions from unheralded players, and then that's what you got in the first quarter with Chasen and his 10 points. How stabilizing has his shooting and presence been for you as your team's gone through injuries, and with Michael Carter-Williams back today? Are you going to keep Chasen in the starting lineup, or is Michael Carter-Williams going to go back into the starting position?
No, MCW will start. Chasen will still play today. He played well the other night. He shot the ball well, and that's his strength. I mean, he's the all-time leading scorer in Stanford history. I think that I talked to him a couple of times. I think he gives himself enough credit for what he can do at the offensive end of the floor, and it's difficult, when you join a team and he's trying to fit in. So I think that the other night he did a good job. He shot the ball well, and that's what he's got to do: play to his strength, which is scoring, and then become more comfortable in what we're doing. Again, I mean, it's so difficult, as you guys know, to come into a situation and have to play that many minutes and learn a totally new system. And so he's, that's still a work in progress, but he's a smart guy and he's working hard at it.
Back to Josh Robbins.
Steve, I'm curious with how much more you've learned about Chuma now that he's had to defend opposing threes due to all your injuries. I guess to summarize my question, is he going to be able in the future to defend quicker players?
Well, I don't think it's fair to judge that right now, Josh, to be honest with you, because I think what's unfair for him is what you'd want in and look, any young player, actually Chasen would be similar, he's young too. You want to try to put guys in roles where they can build confidence and, become adept or, experts in what they have to do at a position in a certain role. Poor Chuma now, I mean, this has happened for a bunch of our guys, he's actually, now tonight he'll play more at the 4 again because James Ennis is going to be able to play a few minutes. But he's been asked to play, significant minutes at a position where he's never practiced defensively, never practiced offensively. And in some nights, depending on what we're doing with schemes, there isn't as much of a difference, but most nights there is. And so, again, ideally for any of them, you'd want to give him a minute number that he's comfortable with, playing for the most part with the same guys so he can learn how guys play and get a comfort level there, and then become good at one position before you move him on to the next one. So can he play the 3 in the future? I think he can. Talking about a guy who's never had September optional workouts, never played summer league. He has a very good basketball IQ and he's a very good competitor. It's just, the things that we're asking him to do right now, literally he has almost no reps because nobody would have envisioned, again, that we would have this many injuries where he was going to have to play that position. So I think that he'll be able to. And again, these are the sample size that we have now. I don't think it's even fair to judge.
Dan Savage.
Cliff, how will you start tonight? And with MCW back, will you still use Aaron as a secondary ball handler, point guard for any stretches tonight? Yes,
I mean MCW will start. That gives us a better matchup with Kemba Walker. They have 3 obviously prolific scorers, so you want to be able to match up with those guys as much as you can for the majority of the game. Mike's minutes will be limited tonight. Chasen will play some also, and then AG will handle some also.
Aaron Goldstone.
Coach, the team is listed. Mo is out for today. I noticed Friday he was off to the side a couple times. A trainer stretching out his hamstring, working with the bands. Is there anything specific in the game Friday that happened with his hamstring or with his toe, or is this just general soreness?
Yeah, he's had some soreness with going into the game with his hamstring, and then his toe, he got stepped on. So you know, he was hopeful. We were hopeful that he'd be able to play tonight. His toe is really sore, and his hamstring is still not feeling great. So, you know, he'll sit out tonight, and then again, hopefully by, you know, we've got these 3 home games this week. Hopefully he'll be better, you know, as we go along during the week.
Any other questions for Coach Clifford? Okay, thanks, everyone.